On my wedding day, my sister stirred chaos, hurled wine, smashed my cake, and shouted, "This is what you get for acting superior." My mother wrapped her in a hug, murmuring, "She's just letting it all out." I held my tongue. That night, I made a move no one anticipated. I canceled her college tuition payment. I also locked the apartment lease I'd co-signed. But at 8:40 a.m., they heard the real shock. It's odd how one moment can rewrite every memory you thought was certain. August 3rd was supposed to be my life's brightest day. 43 guests, soft jazz drifting through the air, the venue bathed in a perfect glow. My fiancée, Emma, looked like she'd walked out of a dream. I'd toiled for years, consulting gigs, endless travel, crashing on airport benches, scraping by on meager pay just to keep moving forward. I'd finally built something stable. I thought I'd earned a moment to savor it. My sister, Leela, didn't agree. She showed up late, a red flag I should have noticed. The vows were over. She sauntered in, clad in a dazzling silver dress like she was attending a red carpet event. No hello, no warmth. She grabbed a wineglass and lingered in a corner. I caught her eye once and she glared through me like I was invisible. To a stranger, she might have seemed moody, but I knew Leela. That silence was the hush before the hurricane. 3 weeks earlier, she'd called, crying about her car breaking down again. She'd already borrowed a hefty sum from me in April for repairs. This time, she insisted she needed a new car entirely. Urgent, she said. I refused, not because I couldn't spare the cash, but because I was weary of being her safety net. She wasn't even trying anymore, skipping classes, partying with a rough crowd, telling our parents she was finding her purpose. She hung up without a word. I never imagined she'd carry that resentment to my wedding. I gave her the benefit of the doubt, as always. She waited until the toast. As I rose to thank the guests, to speak of love and building a life with someone who brings peace, Leela stood too. I thought she might offer words of her own. My glass was half raised. Then she flung her wine. It soared in a perfect arc, splattering the dessert table, shattering a framed photo of Emma and me smiling on a Caribbean shore. Then she seized the cake and shoved it over. The three-tiered creation, adorned with delicate sugar flowers, collapsed in a heap. She locked eyes with me and yelled, "This is what you get for acting superior," loud enough to echo outside. The room went so quiet I could hear a guest's watch ticking. People glanced around, hoping this was a prank or a planned spectacle. It wasn't. My mother rushed to Leela like she'd been wounded. "She's just letting it all out," she said, cradling her like a victim. Emma's parents stared, dumbfounded. My best man stood frozen. Even the DJ stopped the music. No apology, no remorse. Leela didn't shed a tear. She stormed out as if her point was made. I didn't speak, not because I was speechless, but because I wouldn't let her hijack my wedding for her drama. I smiled, whispered to Emma, and nodded to the planner. The night limped on. Some danced. Some pretended it never happened, but the magic was gone. The moment was ruined. That night at home, Emma was subdued. She asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. I wasn't, but I was resolute. While she changed out of her gown, I opened my laptop. I logged into the university's payment system and withdrew the substantial tuition deposit I'd covered for Leela last month. Then I accessed the rental portal for the apartment I'd co-signed. I froze it, flagged it for review. No approval, no payment, lease locked. Rent due in 5 days. At 8:40 a.m., Leela called. I didn't answer. She sent 3 texts. "What's happening? Why's the portal down? Did you do this?" I stayed silent. By her 6th message, the feigned confusion vanished. The last one read, "Fix this now." I muted my phone and made coffee. I didn't tell Emma immediately, not to conceal it, but because I craved a moment of peace. The wedding was over. The chaos had passed. For the first time in years, I wasn't Leela's lifeline. By noon, my mom called. I let it go to voicemail. "Your sister's distraught. She feels abandoned. Call me." The irony. She wasn't abandoned when I co-signed her lease, paid her tuition, covered her overdrafts, buylaid her out of a shady pawn shop deal, or sent her cash just until Friday, which turned into weeks of silence. No one checked on me then. Leela didn't speak to me for 2 days after the wedding. Then she appeared at my apartment. Emma saw her through the peephole and didn't open the door. Leela banged for 10 minutes, steady, insistent knocks. I opened it, asked what she wanted. She didn't greet me, just demanded. Said she had 5 days to pay rent and had blown through her summer job earnings. That she was relying on the tuition deposit. That I had no right to pull it. That I was obligated to follow through. Emma said I wasn't home. A lie. I was in the living room, but I wasn't debating through a door until she showed regret. She left shouting about her legal rights, claiming I couldn't cut her off without notice. She was mistaken. I'd checked the lease. I was the primary signer, she was just the tenant. Legally, I could terminate it, and I did. 3 days passed. She emailed, subject, "Are you serious?" She listed her looming bills, demanding I restore the tuition or she'd have to drop out. If she got evicted, it'd be my fault. Then the guilt trip. She ruined the wedding because she was overwhelmed. I should have understood. I had real money now, she said, and it was changing me. I didn't reply. I forwarded it to Emma with a note. "Here's the spectacle." Then Leela escalated. She showed up again, this time tailing Emma home from work, trying to slip in behind her. Emma didn't shout. She grabbed Leela's arm, pulled her back into the hallway, and said if she tried that again, she'd call the police. Then, without pause, Emma grabbed Leela's hair and shoved her down the corridor. No drama, just swift, decisive force. Leela yelped and stumbled. Emma didn't flinch. She locked the door like she'd taken out the trash. 10 minutes later, my phone buzzed. My dad. He sighed and said, "We need to talk about your sister." I asked, "What about?" He said she was unraveling and I needed to help her stabilize. That her wedding outburst was just emotions, not personal. That I should be the bigger person. I told him I'd been that for years. He said not to punish her for one error. I said it wasn't one error, it was a cycle. I hung up when he started on family unity. I knew something they hadn't admitted. Leela wasn't unraveling. She was just finally facing consequences. After Emma pushed Leela out, we didn't linger on it. The air wasn't heavy, just calm. I poured Emma wine and we sat like nothing had happened. But something had shifted, not negatively, but decisively. Like Emma had drawn a boundary in iron and we both knew where she stood. Leela didn't disappear, though. She started texting Emma, not me, apologies laced with manipulation. Long messages feigning maturity but always ending with, "He owes me." Emma ignored them, blocked her after the fourth. Then Leela switched tactics. She texted our parents, claiming Emma had assaulted her, that she'd come to make peace and was treated like a stray. That's when the group chat started. My dad created it, me, Emma, Mom, Leela, and wrote, "Let's talk openly, no shouting, no blocking. We're still family." Leela jumped in first, saying she felt unseen at the wedding, that I'd been flaunting my success for years. My mom added that it was time to move forward and forgive Leela while she was still finding her way. She ended with, "She's still your little sister." Emma left the chat. I stared at the screen, then typed 3 lines. "She's not a kid, she's 22, she needs to face the price of her actions." Silence. No replies, no typing dots. Just that heavy digital void, louder than any argument. 2 days later, my cousin said Leela had vacated her apartment. No rent money, no subletter. The lease company contacted me for final papers. I didn't fight it. Signed everything, secured my credit, and moved on. But the real surprise came a week later. Leela re-enrolled in school, not with my money, but our parents'. They'd paid her tuition after all their complaints about being strapped, about how I had better opportunities. They quietly covered it, no fuss, no apology, like it was always an option. So they'd had the funds. They just didn't want to spend them when they could rely on me. I was done, not furious, just clear. Emma and I sat on our balcony that night with cheap wine and takeout, and I told her I felt like a decade-long weight had lifted. She smiled and said, "Good, now we can live." That was the first night I truly believed her. A week after Leela left her apartment, things went quiet. No more frantic texts, no ambushes, the storm seemed over. Then my mom called. No greeting, just, "You'll be at your dad's birthday next Saturday, right?" Like the wedding never happened. Like Leela hadn't wrecked it. I said I wasn't sure. She paused, then said, "Leela will be there. I want you two to talk like adults. Stop being so distant." That stung strangely. I was distant. Not the one who trashed a cake and screamed in front of guests. Not the one who'd leaned on me for years. But the one who finally set a boundary. That's who they blamed. I hung up without committing. That night, Emma and I cooked dinner and didn't mention it until we were halfway through. She said we shouldn't go. I agreed. The night before the party, Leela sent a payment app request for a large sum. "Label for the cake and frame, lol, let's call it even." I didn't react, just showed Emma the phone and stepped onto the balcony. When I returned, she looked calm. I asked what she replied. She shrugged, "She won't like it." 15 minutes later, Leela blocked us both everywhere. We skipped my dad's birthday. But Leela attended, wearing a cream jumpsuit that looked suspiciously bridal. Cousin Kara sent a photo captioned, "She's not okay." Leela had brought some real estate guys she'd met weeks earlier, telling some guests they were moving in together, others that big plans were brewing. She kept saying it. Big plans? Monday, we learned what? Leela launched a podcast, Family Fault Lines, about growing up in someone's shadow. The teaser dropped on social media, her voiceover saying, "I thought family meant loyalty, but sometimes the closest people wound you deepest." It was so theatrical it felt scripted. She thanked a sponsor, a therapy app I'd suggested to her a year ago when she called me frantic from a club restroom. She'd landed a real deal. They shared her video. It hit thousands of views in a day. Comments called her courageous, asked for advice, said they related. I didn't care about the podcast, but it left me uneasy, like I was being woven into her story. Then the twist. She emailed me, subject, "Let's meet." The message was short. "I want to talk, no drama, just a real conversation. I have things to share, I think you'll be proud." No accusations, no venom, just calm, polished words that didn't sound like her. Emma read it twice and said, "She's not fixing anything, it's a trap." I replied, "Emma's coming too." Leela never responded. But it wasn't over. 3 days later, my parents showed up unannounced at 7:15 p.m. while we ate dinner. I opened the door halfway. My dad waved like it was casual. My mom, bag slung over her shoulder, looked ready to stay. She said, "We just want to talk calmly." I gave them 3 minutes. They walked in anyway. Emma stayed in the kitchen, arms crossed, silent. No fake warmth. My mom said Leela was in a transformative phase and regretted her mistakes. The podcast was her processing. I shouldn't take it personally. My dad said Leela wanted a relationship but didn't know how to express it. I asked if Leela had actually said that or if they were hoping I'd buy it. They didn't answer. Then my mom dropped the bombshell. She moved back in with us. Just for now, until she sorts things out. Emma exhaled sharply. It all clicked. They'd paid her tuition, let her move home. They weren't here to mediate. They were managing me, ensuring I didn't make Leela's life harder. I asked if they'd ever told her the wedding stunt was wrong. My mom said she was overwhelmed. My dad said she didn't mean to ruin it. I asked again. "Did you tell her it was wrong?" Silence. That was enough. They weren't mad at her. They were embarrassed. And the easiest way to erase that was to shift the blame to me. I told them I was done. With the money, the guilt, the games, they could fund her life, but not through me. I said they'd raised a daughter who thinks consequences don't apply. Then I asked them to leave. They lingered but left. Leela didn't reach out after. Her podcast continued. Episode 2, Self-Centered Siblings. Episode 3, When They Label You as Unstable. Emma and I laughed at that one. A few days later, I checked flights for a trip somewhere warm, far from this mess. Emma smiled. We booked the Maldives, leaving in 6 weeks. No family, no chaos, just us. 2 days before the flight, Leela sent a fire emoji. No words, no context, like a cryptic jab. I showed Emma while buying luggage tags. She didn't flinch, just scanned her boarding pass and said, "Perfect. Let it burn." I blocked Leela's number. That was the final loose end. Leading up to the trip, everyone else went quiet. No calls from my dad. My mom sent one vague, "Hope you're okay" text I ignored. No more lectures or guilt trips. They knew I wasn't their fix anymore. We flew to the Maldives on a Thursday. No layovers, no rush. I watched Emma sleep against the plane window, ocean stretching below, and my mind felt still. No plans, no rescues, just calm. Our bungalow sat over the water, waves lapping beneath the floor. A sign read, "No clocks, let time be yours." That hit deep. We didn't mention Leela, not until day 4 over breakfast on the deck, waves and birds in the background. Emma asked, "Will they ever admit it?" I knew who she meant. "No," I said, "but they know." And I believe they do, not consciously, but in that uneasy quiet when your go-to scapegoat walks away for good. They know I cleaned up Leela's messes for years. They know they let it slide because it was easier than saying no. And they know now that I'm done being their crutch. Leela stayed with them, no new apartment. Her lease ended quietly, and the building relisted it without issue. I signed the final papers, protected my credit, and moved on. Leela never thanked me, never apologized. She won't, but I don't need it. I just needed it to stop. The podcast ran 2 more episodes, one on losing your support system, another on financial control in families. My cousin said Leela stretched the truth until it unraveled. Engagement faded, sponsors dropped, then nothing. The silence spread offline. I stopped checking her posts. My mom quit the passive-aggressive texts. My dad didn't mention her when he called about a car repair. Leela re-enrolled part-time on my parents' dime. They'd tapped a savings fund they'd never mentioned. I almost laughed. They'd had the money all along, just didn't want to use it until I refused. Emma and I settled into a new life. We moved to a quieter place, away from the city's hum. No more buzzing phones or split bills, just us. I got a new credit card, left cautioning behind, changed my bank password for the first time in years. No more surprise charges or payment app please labeled "Don't ask." We don't talk about the wedding. It's just a strange blip in a story that's no longer ours. Some nights, we sit on our new porch with wine, watching the neighbor's dog chase fireflies. We talk about real things, books, plans, Emma's new business idea. That old life feels like someone else's film, something I switched off. Sometimes fires don't need fighting. You just let them burn out and walk away, finally free.